Challenge really is about taking that sort of divide away from between what is a business and what is ICT. And really we no longer see it as sort of different silos, but really one and the same. And so I thought what Grace Hooper said was a good first quote. And just in case you didn't know who she was, because she's actually very influential to this room, and this does work, you can all read about her, but she was one of the first females in the US who actually influenced how we actually think about technology today. A human must turn information into intelligence or knowledge. We tend to forget that no computer will ever ask a new question. And so really, fundamentally, this is all about the people and the change that we all try and lead. Okay, so as was said, I am looking at how technology is evolving and how that actually changes the relationship between the business and ICT. So we're looking at something called Caseflow management. Fundamentally, how do we support cases end to end? From the point that I, as let's say a lawyer, need to be able to file documents or pay something, right through to the end and resolution of a case. So we all can agree that we don't want the type of paper-based way of operating now. We're quite clear on that. Everyone has a shared vision. There's quite a lot of strong leadership around that vision, both from the judiciary and ourselves. But we can't really agree how. So we had this debate, which way were we going to go? We needed to actually understand, were we making any trade-offs between those two pathways? Or was this just actually a bunch of urban myths that have been said for the last 5 years, so now were being said as truth? So we needed to actually understand what the trade-offs were, and that was where most of the debate was. So what did we do? We did something called a proof of concept, which I refer to as the dueling pox. And why I refer to it as a dueling pox is we had a supplier out of the COTS area and a supplier out of the BPMS area. And they were put up against each other head to head. We didn't go and find suppliers who were the best in breed. We were looking for a supplier who represented the pathway. Because we weren't trying to get a supplier to be our final supplier. We were looking for a supplier to help us understand our trade-offs. So they had to be representative of the pathway. And then we gave them 3 weeks, and only 3 weeks. We gave them only 15 minutes of business time each day at a scheduled point to ask questions, but they were actually shadowed the whole time by a group of technical people. And those technical people out of the ICT area were fundamentally trying to understand how much effort really those suppliers were putting into their tools, so that we could really see if there was any trade-off in the effort that they were doing. As I said, we had the thing called the POC book. And the POC book was not a traditional requirements book. And we told them what the outcomes were. We told them the key rules and legislation that must support at various parts of the process. We told them what we wanted to test in each part of the process and see. But we really didn't tell them how. That was what we wanted their insight and how their tool worked to be able to really test that. But the proof of concept wasn't the only thing that we were doing. We did a market sounding as well. That was both to evaluate them, to be able to put them into the proof of concept and choose, but it was also to inform our thinking about the variety of the suppliers out there. So what's our key lessons from this process? Will I do it again? I would do it again, definitely. As a senior responsible owner, the person from the business that's representing this, I learnt, and our team and our organisation and all our partners in the judiciary, we've all learnt a lot from this process. When we used to think about, buying technology, we were always worried about what the supplier was, who they were. Don't just evaluate the supplier, evaluate the community that you're about to be part of, because you're about to be part of that community for the next 10 years. And is that community one that's going to have the right longevity and sustainability going forward? We paid for the POC, okay? So when we went to market, we went in with a fixed price per supplier. We said we will pay up to this amount. Now that amount was not enough to cover the supplier's cost. I knew that. But that enabled me to evaluate something. Remember, I was really interested in, would international players come to New Zealand? And remember, 7 out of the 8 said yes. That told me something about the market and how interested was the market in New Zealand. We talk about digital evolution as if it's about the technology evolving. But actually, it's about how we work together that needs to also evolve. But actually, we don't think about organisational structures. When we do change, it's about what multidiscipline teams do we need to bring together to really be able to answer these types of questions. We must be not just agile in technology terms, but agile as people and as humans, and that we actually don't talk about being multidisciplined. We actually deliberately go across and create those teams and recognise as we create those multidiscipline teams, it's going to be challenging. You're going to have great debates and conflict, and that's okay, because through that conflict is where you actually get insight and innovation. Thank you.